opportunity for questions. We had a few people send some questions in as well, so it's interesting to see what Jason and Danny have to think about that as well. So I guess by way of an introduction, my name is Sean O'Neill, managing partner of the agency Turks and Caicos. I was born here in the Turks and Caicos and went to secondary school and university in Dublin. Very passionate about the islands and very happy to be able to collaborate with Jason and Danny to be able to highlight some of the benefits that are being in the Bahamas. As Danny and Jason often remind me, we're not too far removed down here in the Turks and Caicos Islands. And so they like to provide us with a bit of guidance here and there. So always happy to engage in that. We have, of course, Jason Kinsale with us, a very prominent developer within the Bahamas, over 400 million in sales. I see Jason in your bio, although I do think that perhaps that's gone even higher since you probably last updated it. And of course, as founder of Aristo Developments, you've overseen the successes of Balmoral, 36 on Paradise Island, and 1 Cable Beach before focusing on your new development, Aqualina, which is also on Cable Beach in Nassau. And we have Danny Lowe, managing partner of the agency Bahamas. He is the youngest qualified broker in the history of the Bahamas, and a very, very qualified and I'm very grateful partner to have up there. I think he's got great insights into what's going on in the Bahamian real estate market. So to kick this off, I think, Jason, why don't you talk us through a little bit about the vision and how kind of the project at Aqualina kind of first came to pass?
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much, Sean. Well, I guess we've been in the game for a little while now, about 15 years or so, and you have an opportunity to listen to a lot of people, watch the markets, watch the trends, and get a better understanding of what's desirable, where the market is headed. And as we know in Nassau, Nassau is really focusing on the luxury market. If you're seeing a lot of the growth. In general, the market's improving in a lot of different sectors, but I think if you're going to be on the beach, you're trending towards this luxury market that Aqualina has presented us with. So Aqualina is right beside a project called 1 Cable Beach that we finished about 5 years ago. And I just said I want an easy commute, and literally I hop the wall when I'm in a frisky mood in the morning, and I'm at work. So it's very convenient from that perspective. 60 units in total. One of the lessons that we learned with 1 Cable Beach was to ensure that everything was facing the water, and I think that's something we've achieved. 30 units per building, 2,600 square feet to 4,200 square feet for our 4 bedrooms. We did not do any 2 bedrooms or 1 bedroom units in this development. What we're seeing now is a lot more people wanting to spend more time in the Bahamas. 1 Cable Beach buyers had a lot of people that were just more interested in basically looking at a residency play. But as many of you already do know or may not know, the requirements for proving that you're a resident of various countries is becoming more demanding, and you have to spend actual time in these countries. The days of just pretending that you're a resident of the Bahamas are really coming to an end, and other areas, in my belief, and that's why we went. So, first building is finishing the end of this year. Second building is finishing the end of next year. And we sold 90% of the first building, and we sold 6 units so far in the second building. So we're happy with the pace. We're happy with the construction. Very high quality products. This is an actual finished unit. It's not a rendering you're seeing right now. So really focusing on the attention to detail and listening to what the buyers are asking for as well.
Well, it's very interesting in terms of what you how you adjusted your layout. From where you were at 1 Cable Beach to Aqualina. I know one of the questions that I received before we started was the rental program and kind of rental availability of these. Are you guys offering a full rental program with it as well?
Yeah, we are, and I think the rental market, what we're seeing right now, 1 Cable Beach, we're basically completely full. There's just a lack of inventory. That's just the reality. Right now, there's Aqualina under construction. There's no new 2-bedroom inventory coming on the market. There's no availability in a place called Old Fort Bay and Lyford Key. There's literally 3 or 4 rentals available between those 2 developments. So yeah, it's just a lack of inventory, similar to what you're seeing in Turks, I imagine.
Yeah, I think so. I think the long-term rental market in the Bahamas, I think, is a much stronger one than we even have here, in terms of the number of people who are coming in. So it's interesting to see the focus that you guys have on that. I mean, you mentioned Lyford Key and Old Fort Bay. So kind of geographically, how does Aqualina kind of fit into the overall landscape of the Bahamas, of Nassau, rather?
Well, we're literally 400 feet away from Bahamar. So I get a little bit too tempted to go there on a Thursday and Friday night. Sometimes I try to hold off until Saturday, but the convenience is amazing. You can walk to the beach of Bahamar at low tide, which is also a major plus. But we have a very private setting as well. So we have the luxury of the privacy, but the accessibility of Bahamar. We're about 15 minutes away from Lyford Key and Old Fort Bay. They're a little bit further west than us, but and that's all a single-family home market. So for the person looking for a little bit more action, wants to be central, Aqualina is really a perfect fit.
No, I think you're right. I mean, one of the things we always hear, I think, across the region is trying to find that balance and what are the amenities and what do you have nearby. And obviously, you know, Bahamar is such a significant development with all the facilities and everything that's there, that it's great that you guys are able to kind of play off of that without having to sacrifice the exclusivity, privacy, and kind of lower density that you get at Aqualina. So I think that's really good. So with respect to the design, the amenities, things like that, what makes Aqualina stand out, you know, in comparison to some of your the other properties around the market?
Yeah, I think we really wanted it to feel like you're in a home as much as you can make it. And one of the ways we achieve that, there's 3 units per floor. All of them have private elevator access. You walk into the lobby. There's no hallways per se. You're going directly into the unit, which is very unique. The other aspect of the building is very nice. You only have 60 units in total. There's just enough units to make sure that your HOA is not burdened with a heavy cost of only 20 or 30 owners. So we felt that 60 owners was a comfortable number. As we also know, is there's only 30% of the owners that are here at any particular time of the year. You know, so you may have 20 people actually down by the pool or residing in the building at any one time. So we went very heavy on amenities. Albany has done an amazing job of just improving their amenities. They never stop, and we felt that that was a pretty strong bellwether for us to keep improving the product too. So we added whirlpool, steam room, sauna, cinema, shared office space, an amazing gym, 2,600 square foot gym, hair salon, massage center. One of the things that's very unique to this property as well is a dock. You know, we have something, a boat club, and basically what that allows you to do is to call the captain. Hey, come pick me up. Picks you up at the dock right at Aqualina. Takes the boat at the end of the day. It's not your problem. So we make it very, boats don't like to work very reliably. Trust me, I know. So yeah, we're just trying to make life easy, and we're really about investing in your life. That's our slogan here at Aqualina.
I think honestly, with the boat club, you've really nailed it. Because as someone who's owned boats before, it's the day out is great, and it's the tidy up after it always becomes a nuisance. And of course, if you have owners who are coming and going, a boat that sits idle is never in a good place. So I think that's it. And I read as well, and it's a Midnight Express is the boat that you're getting, and they're gorgeous boats to be able to go around it.
Yeah, we actually ended up buying something a little bit different, Formula 430, but it's better for what we do. It's more of a cruiser boat, but still on the same level as a Midnight 43. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really, really nice. The whole amenity package is incredible. But that's one that definitely kind of stands out in terms of a unique offering. Especially why, like we were discussing earlier, why do you come down to the islands? Why are you in the Caribbean? It's to be outdoors, to be able to enjoy that time while you're here. So it's perfect. What's your buyer demographic been? Where are the buyers coming from who've purchased so far?
I'd say a third Canadian, a third European, and a third American. We're seeing the Americans making real lifestyle decisions. The Canadians and the Europeans are, I would say 80% of them are making tax-based decisions. But the American buyers is stronger. And what it's very interesting. All of our buyers are entrepreneurs. At this price point, you're not really seeing the person with a job per se. It's really business owners, not even really seeing the doctors and the lawyers so much. So it's very exclusive clientele, but very down to earth, very friendly people. Nobody has anything to prove. Yeah, just a nice mix overall.
No, it's good. And I think that the design that you have really does cater for that type of buyer or owner kind of down the line. So it makes sense that kind of matches up. So Jason, that's been a really kind of interesting look into Aqualina. Just for anyone who's not aware, can you just give us the range of price points that you currently have, the units that are available?
Yeah, so we have units ranging from 3.4 million for our 3-bedroom up to just over 6.5 million for our 4-bedroom.
That's pretty, that's actually, and when I compare them to Turks and Caicos prices, that's actually quite compelling.
I just saw an advertisement. I think that the people need to understand that in comparison to the Cayman Islands, Turks, Miami, the Bahamas is really a deal. I mean, I know it sounds 3.4 million. Hey, sure, is it a lot of money? Yes, but compared that same unit in Cayman Islands would be at $3,000 a foot. You're $8 or $9 million for a 3,000 square foot unit in Cayman Islands right now. It's insane. So
yeah, I was going to give the comparison. I was in the Ritz-Carlton today in a 2-bedroom that's listed on the beach level at 3.2 million. So I mean, your 3-bed is obviously more beneficial than that. I think Jason, kind of as a broad question that I think we're going to be asking a lot of people. What's the best piece of advice that you would have for a buyer who's coming to buy a property in the Bahamas?
Well, I think we've been in this game for about 15 years. I am Bahamian. I grew up in Canada. I've been back here for 24 years now. And I think it's really just about making decisions and taking action. I mean, we're very bullish on the Bahamas. There is no beachfront left in Nassau. That is the reality of it. And if you think it's going down, if you think there's a correction coming, I have not seen it. In 2008, I witnessed 2008 firsthand. It was a very unpleasant experience. I don't want to rehash that now, but prices did not go down. They stalled out. But we have to remember, in the Bahamas, there's no leverage. People don't have mortgages. Out of one cable, we had 73 buyers, 1 mortgage. Aqualina, not 1 mortgage. So there's no pressure. So why is somebody going to sell and not feeling pressure? Sure, you have rare instances in that regard, but so that's why the Bahamas is unique. I don't think we're falling into a lot of the other metrics that you would see around the world. So long story short, scarcity.
No, I think there's 2 great pieces of advice for buyers there, actually. One is that scarcity continues to drive the market there, but just for their own education and knowledge when they're coming in, that if they're intending to rely upon financing to get into a property, that's going to make them an outlier from a purchaser perspective. So I think that's always good, that people understand the market they're coming into, the expectations of sellers and developers. I think we all have a chuckle when we think about how we have to deal with the commercial banks, unfortunately.
Right.
It's good to know that coming in before trying to figure it out as you're working your way along the process. So thanks for that, Jason. I'm going to come back to you with a couple of questions, and obviously if anyone in the chat has any questions, please feel free to post them, and we'll ask them at the end. So now it's my pleasure to speak to Danny Lowe, who said the man who spends a lot of time telling me just how amazing the Bahamian real estate market is, and that
that's my job.
Us little brothers in the Turks and Caicos Islands, can learn a lot. Danny, good to see you.
Great to see you, Sean.
So, Danny, I mean, again, we've seen across the entire Caribbean, we've seen a boom over the last couple of years. What are you seeing in the Bahamian real estate market at the moment?
Right. So, post-COVID, the demand has still remained just as strong. Knight Frank mentioned we're the third fastest growing real estate market in the world, going upwards of 15%. You have some communities now where prices have gone up by 50% in some instances. And going on what Jason said in terms of taking action, you have some buyers that would have speculated and said, there's no way the price is going to keep going up. It's no way. And a couple months goes by, a year goes by, and you're just realizing like prices are climbing. And it's based on scarcity, especially in some of the gated communities, your Old Fort, the Lyfords. There's just scarce product. There's not a lot of canal frontage. Like Jason said, there's not a lot of beach frontage. So folks want to get in. They want to get in for lifestyle purposes, for tax purposes. And there's just not many options, especially in Nassau. We're seeing an increase in demand in the outer islands as well. So you have a price increases in Eleuthera, transaction increases in Eleuthera, price increases in Exuma, increase of transactions there, same in the Abaco. So it's not just Nassau, and I think a lot of that is based on airlift. So where any islands where we're getting sufficient airlift, those real estate markets are developing as well. And you have some developers that are, may not want to be in Nassau, want to take a shot at like doing another project in one of our family islands. So overall, demand is increasing. There's not a lot of supply, especially in the luxury space. So I think that's also part of why prices are just continuing to creep upwards.
Yeah, I think your observation about airlift, and I was really interested to hear what Jason said about a third of the buyers of Aqualina being European, because that's definitely not something that we see as much of down here. We have some European buyers, but definitely nowhere near that level. So it kind of speaks to the attractiveness and the ease of getting to the Bahamas versus some of the other parts of the Caribbean. But yeah, that is always going to be one of the things that pushes everything along.
Yeah, historically, that's always been one of our strongest assets, is just proximity to the U.S. I mean, 35 minutes here in Miami, direct flights to New York, Toronto, London. Now we have direct flights to LA. So, folks don't want to overnight or have to spend a couple hours in the airport laying over when they just have a limited amount of time that they could spend on vacation or, so anytime we could get a direct flight, we're getting increased buyers coming out of those feeder markets.
Yeah, and I think the fact that you guys can pre-clear immigration in Nassau as well is a huge benefit that you guys have. And I've said it before, it is one that I'm absolutely jealous of you guys having, because we don't have
absolute gift.
So with respect to the trends then, Danny, what are you seeing in kind of trends and development up in the Bahamas?
Well, we're seeing, if we use Aqualina as an example, developers are understanding that, the land on the beach is becoming more and more expensive. So if you're not able to go vertical, it's not making as much sense. So I think there's a lot of demand or a lot of developers looking to go vertical, and the buildings are getting taller, right? So Jason, if I'm not mistaken, Aqualina is taller than One Cable Beach.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's going to make more sense. And I think the general public is now understanding that that's probably the way things are going to go, because you only have so much beach frontage in Nassau, period. So I think we're going to get more and more taller developments coming up rather than your villas and townhouses in New Providence. In the outer islands, in Eleuthera, Exuma, Bahamas, I think that's still going to exist. But in Nassau, I think it's high-rise developments, basically.
Are you starting to see, potential acquisition of existing properties for demolition and rebuild with new development opportunities?
I mean, I'm sure Jason could speak to that.
Yeah, we love demolishing old buildings. It's our favorite.
Well,
there's a lot of old estates. Basically, every development that we've done is an old estate that sort of fallen into disrepair. The trend, 50 years ago was to buy these huge acreages, have your home on it, and then it just becomes a burden and it just gets heavy. So you are seeing some of that And they're getting a little bit tougher on property tax laws here now. They're forcing auctions. People are seeing the urgency to sell versus just holding on to things forever, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, that definitely, again, when we see the same thing down here. The people who originally developed out and bought properties and built homes did them in some of the best locations because they could pick wherever they wanted.
Right.
And so that creates opportunity, then when those homes have perhaps reached the end of their life cycle, to create something that's more reflective of what the market is looking for now. So it's interesting that you guys are seeing that up there as well. So Danny, with that international demand for buyers, what's kind of driving them? What are they looking for in the current market?
Well, as Jason says, I think his bias for Aqualina is kind of reflective of the market. I mean, most of who we deal with are predominantly Canadian or American. Americans being lifestyle driven, Canadians being a mix of lifestyle and tax planning, and a sprinkle of Latin America and a sprinkle of Europe for us. So I think the lifestyle element of it is becoming more and more of a driving factor. I know a lot of the buyers we deal with, they want to be a part of the club, they want to be a part of Albany, they want to be there to Bahamas, experience the amenities, the spa, the shopping, the restaurants. So that part is really driving a lot of buyers to say, okay, I want to have a piece, a property here in the Bahamas that I can use for several months out of the year. And as well as, from a rental earnings perspective, our rents are pretty healthy, right? Especially from a long-term and short-term. So when they look at what we're earning here compared to some of the other markets, they said, okay, this is actually not a bad investment. It's a good investment.
Yeah, I would think as well, the Bahamas, particularly given Nassau's proximity to Miami, is really going to benefit from the fact that Miami is becoming the new tech hub of the United States. So to be able to hop back and forth for meetings in a day, I think makes it a really attractive base for people to consider as a residence, with some operations, back on the Miami side.
Absolutely.
So Danny, with all your years of experience, what would be your best piece of advice for someone who's looking to buy a property in the Bahamas?
You go on the boat on Tuesdays. If you buy here, that's a part of what you need to do. That's a part of the lifestyle. I mean, buying, historically, we've always just been a very stable country, politically, economically. So, prices don't really dip. It's hard to go wrong if you buy on the beach. Pretty hard to go wrong there. I mean, especially in New Providence, if you're on the beach, it's hard to go wrong. I mean, so I would say buying on the beach is always a good idea. If I had to give a piece of advice, I mean, you look at the surrounding neighborhoods, you look at the amenities that you're seeking, and there's a different, even though Nassau is only 21/7, depending on what it is you want, we have different products that'll satisfy your needs, whether it's Aqualina, it's Albany, it's Old Fort. They all are different in some ways. So once you do your homework, you're going to make an educated decision, and you're going to buy a product that's going to fit exactly what you're looking for here. So just do some homework.
So thanks for that, Danny. So yeah, we had a couple of questions that came in from people who couldn't make it onto the call. And of course, anybody else would like to raise a question, please do it in the chat. I think, Jason, I'm going to start with you because this is one that came in. And obviously, you mentioned you've been a developer in the Bahamas for a long time. As I pointed out when we were leading up to the call, the ladies also tell me you're quite easy on the eye, more so even now than you were in 2008. But as someone who has ridden the biggest waves that we've seen, over these years, you obviously spoke to some of the resilience in the Bahamian market. What do you see as being the biggest differentiator that's going to kind of continue to make the Bahamas that attractive, resilient destination?
Well, I don't think the Bahamas is ever going to be a Miami or a New York or a Toronto where we just have people showing up in droves. I would like that to happen, but I have not seen that yet. It's always been very steady, very deliberate. We're benefiting from a lot of the changes that are going on globally. Like, as an example, this entire woke movement that's going on in Canada right now, the socialism that's taking place there, is really making people feel uneasy about being in those countries where that was never an issue before. People loved Canada, and now we're saying, well, hey, it's not just a tax decision. I want to be able to say what I want to be able to say, and I'm worried about the capital gains that went from 50% to 66% overnight. I don't know where to invest. So those things are helping us as well. At the end of the day, I was in, who wants to be cold? You forget what it's like to be cold until you're cold. So little decisions like this will always benefit us, and the product is improving. The Bahamas has a lot of trajectory now, a lot of momentum. You see what's going on in the western area of Nassau right now. We have a brand new hospital, $300 million investment from the Chinese coming to Nassau. So that's going to help the healthcare question that we used to have an objection with. We have multiple restaurants opening. You don't feel the need to leave Nassau like you might have 5 years ago and say, I need to go to Miami. I mean, I can be here for a couple of months and just be totally content.
I think kind of tying into that, Danny, Jason brought it up. I was going to ask the changes to capital gains tax requirements in Canada. Have you seen that spur on some sellers in the Bahamas who suddenly want to move their inventory because they don't want to have to take that additional hit?
So that question for me or Danny? Sorry.
Oh, for Danny. Sorry, that one was for Danny.
We've had some discussions about it. I know that is a concern. We've had some discussions about the office. If anyone that needs immediately.
Sorry, Danny, I'm not sure if that was my end or yours.
Yeah.
Might have been me. I'm saying can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was saying that we had some discussions about it, but to my understanding, you may know better than me, it was a very time-sensitive matter where they had to sell their assets very quickly in order to be within the, so that they don't get taxed at additional percentage.
No,
like
that's
by
exactly
next month or something like that.
Yeah, we've had some sellers here who've been on market, and definitely when it came time to they were considering offers, it definitely factored in, given the nature of the increase. Jason, one of the things that you spoke on earlier today is obviously, residency is a very common topic right now. Some people view it as controversial, others not so much. But all the properties at Aqualina also qualify you for residency in the Bahamas. Is that correct?
They do, yes. If you spend over $750,000, you qualify for residency in the Bahamas. Yeah.
And then, I guess the short version for anyone, what's the path? Is there a pathway to citizenship from that, or is that purely residency?
I wish there was. There's not a pathway right now, but they let in 1.5 million people in Canada last year with passports and gave them passports. So hopefully we'll see the light one day and jump on the same bandwagon. But for now, no.
Okay. And then for you, Danny, one of the big things that's been talked about lately is a change to non-domicile rules in the UK. And the 68,000 people who are there who are currently non-doms kind of potentially looking elsewhere. Are you seeing many kind of inquiries about people who are maybe looking to remove themselves from those UK tax considerations?
Yeah, in terms of our buyer leads from the UK, we saw about 100% increase. Folks are just inquiring. They want to buy properties where they can get, again, not a tax expert. If they said they need permanent residency, we provide them with options that would qualify them. And then some folks are coming to us and said they just need annual residency. But we are definitely seeing a lot of inquiries coming in. I need a property for permanent residency purposes. Send me what you have. You know, we actually have as of today, we have an accepted offer on one property already, just based on this non-dom rule. So I always tax experts. I don't advise them as to what they need to do in terms of their own jurisdiction. Then it's property. So at 750, you qualify to apply for permanent residency. So we are seeing it, and speaking to a couple other brokers, they're noticing it as well.
Yeah, I think we've seen it here, you know, kind of anecdotally, probably more people who are either empty nesters or without kids, because obviously it's easier for them to relocate themselves and kind of give consideration to that. I think our section of the Caribbean is definitely an appealing destination, just for all, particularly those geographic reasons that you guys, you know, both outlined as part of your discussions. Okay, I don't see if anyone else had any questions, but I didn't see anything else come in. Guys, I want to take this opportunity to thank you both for
Thank you.
taking to speak to us about it. It's always interesting to learn. Again, I love learning from the different Caribbean islands and figuring out, you know, what's working here, what's working there, because each of our countries is a little bit different, right? Turks and Caicos is different to Nassau, and we have different things to offer to potential buyers, even though we're all looking at the same net. So it's always a great opportunity to speak to you and kind of pick your brain and see, you know, what's working there, what those trends are, because ultimately we're in a very similar kind of section of the market. We're going to send out a copy of this recording to everyone who registered and who we sent it out to. We'll also be sending out the details on Aqualina. Very excited to continue to see how the progress of that development goes, Jason. Because again, it's a
Thank you.
for us here, I find it very interesting to see the progress of it from acquisition of the original estate to creating something that kind of stands out within the market, and especially some of the unique amenity packages that you'd offer with it as well. And of course, Danny, you asked me to say it. It is better in the Bahamas.
There you go. Did we record that? I want to cut that part out of Sean saying that.
Yeah.
Play it
It's
over.
better in the Bahamas, and it's almost as good as it is in Turks and Caicos. So,
Thanks, Sean. Thanks for organizing.
so thank you, guys. It was great getting a chance to speak to you, and I look forward to catching up again soon.
All right. Thanks, Sean. Okay. See you
All right,
then.
Sean. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye.